like to say welcome to all of you to Soulmate Connections. I've been doing palm reading for 50 years. I started when I was 10. My sister was my first one. She was 6. To this day, she walks with her hands behind her and will not let me look at her hand because she knows I know too much. How I learned this is really funny, and anybody that knows me has heard this story already too. But my mother was a nurse in a hospital in Dayton, Ohio. I showed up for a ride home after school one day, and she couldn't leave. She was a charge nurse with the narcotics key, and she said, "I can't leave, the next shift didn't show up. Oh my God, we'll have to stay." And I got noisy, and I got antsy, and I said, "Smells like sick people around here. I smell death all around." And she had to shut me up. I was embarrassing. So she reached over, and you all know what a candy striper is. It's the ladies with the pink jackets who have the little wagon with the books, and she just went, "Here, read this book." Didn't look at the title, didn't look at the author, and I didn't care. I just sat down and read it. Guess what? That book was called Oriental Palmistry. That's what I do. So underneath everyone's seat is a surprise. If you'd all bend over and take out the piece of paper that's under there, you will find a manila colored paper with a soulmate pyramid on it. And a pyramid starts with the base or the bottom, and a base has to be built on a couple of things. And the first thing it should have is friendship. So everybody here who has a soulmate knows that. You have to be best friends with the person that you're connected with. Then you have to have honor, trust, respect, spontaneity, affection, then comes love. So after you have the foundation built on friendship and all that other stuff, you want to be able to have communication. That's the first thing on my pyramid. Communication doesn't just mean talking and the other person talks back. It's also a look, it's a feeling, it's the person reading you or you reading them. It's nonverbal sometimes. Now, the couple has to look good together. So you want to be looking like you make a match set. So my soulmate's over there in the corner and we look like bookends. One of my friends in this room said that one time, and I haven't got that out of my head yet, because when we stand up we look like the left side and the right side of a pair of bookends. Okay, spirituality is next, and that means like God on the inside but not religion. I put that on the top of the pyramid. So what we have is a person who cares about community. So spiritual means someone who, if somebody fell down here and broke their leg, you wouldn't all look away and say, "Somebody else will get it, I'm not going to help." We'd all run over and say, "Oh my God, can we call 911? Can we help you?" Then on top of spiritual comes the sexual part. But sometimes two women who aren't sexually connected are soul sisters, and they grab on and they just connect, and that's a soulmate too, but it's a different kind. So I'm talking about one that you would mate with, so it would be the opposite. Then religion is on top, and it doesn't mean you have to go to church. It just means you have a belief system inside you and the other person has a similar one. So when you have all those 5 things blending together, here's you, here's the other person, and you fit like that. And that's what a soulmate is. But it's a whole lot more than that. Now I'm going to bring people up. They're going to tell their story. You're all going to learn by hearing other people's stories. No two are alike, and yet they all have a similar theme. The theme is, I'm for you, you're for me. I'm going to support you, you're going to support me. And that's what soulmates are.
We got married in the Bahamas.
Was it above ground or underwater?
It was underwater, 50 feet.
With the dolphin.
Our best man and maid of honor were dolphins.
A terrible thing happened on their honeymoon, and I don't know if you want to share this, but I'm going to let Patricia tell this story.
We got married at about 50 feet, and then 5 days later, we went on a deep dive. We went down to 110 feet, and coming back up, I started having chest pains, and I got the bends, decompression sickness, and ended up paralyzed for a month. And that's been, what, 5 months ago or so, and today
Okay.
I'm doing really, really well.
Now the reason I brought that up is this is a soulmate, and I'll tell you why. They say you get married for better or worse, but usually it's not on the honeymoon. And so she said Paul was laughing and making her laugh and telling her jokes, and everything was wonderful, and then he'd go in another room and cry somewhere and come back and he'd be all real quiet. And he'd talk again. So that's what a soulmate does. They're there. I just got the chills.
Well, we both have our moments, and I think that soulmates have their own individuals.
No two are alike. Yeah.
No two are alike, and we have our own thoughts, our own beliefs, and our own, you know, I mean, even though we love each other and we care, but we still are separate.
Well, you're individual,
absolutely,
independent,
yeah.
but you're also entwined, like I was showing. This is so you're together, but you're two individuals who come together. That's
And the
way
communication is great, because sometimes we do not communicate verbally.
You don't have to.
No.
So now I have Sharon on the stage, and I only met her one time, and I read her hand in the kitchen at a party that was a retirement party for my insurance lady. And I just happened to mention I do this, and she goes, oh! Well, if everybody at that party had known I was doing that, I'd still be there. But the thing was, she's the only one. Something drew me to her, and I went, I have to talk to that lady. So I went right over, and I introduced myself, and I said, here's my literature. Let me tell you what I do. Let me see your hand. She goes, well, I'm having kind of a hard time right now, and I want her to tell you what her story is, and then we'll get on with it. So go ahead.
Okay, I only have 5 minutes here.
Yeah, 5 minutes, yeah.
When I was 20 years old, I was in college and I met an attorney, and I worked for him for about a year, and then we got married, and he was definitely my soulmate. And we ended up getting married, and we had our business, and we had 3 children, and during those years we lost one of our children. One of our children died. And in that time that we lived together, I had never had time to really grow up. So he allowed me the space to be able to leave the house, start my own business. I have my own flower shop, and I started my business. I had a little house, and we lived apart for 10 years. And at the end of that 10 years, we had still continued to see each other, but at the end of that 10 years, we had really grown back together, and my growing up time, I think, was kind of over, and we were talking about retiring and traveling, and everything was wonderful. And then he died in an accident. And so that was a year ago, and so I kind of had to reevaluate my life.
Okay, so when I read her hand at this party, I looked there and I said, gee, I see that you were married for over 20 years. She goes, well, yeah. And I said, but I see that you're going to get married again. She goes, really? Where is it? Where is it? So I showed her and I asked her what her age is, because she looked so young. I thought I was wrong, but I was right on the money, right at the right age, right at the right time, and it's coming in. But it isn't going to be tomorrow. But by the time fall rolls around, she'll have met the person. By the time Christmas comes, she's going to be head over heels in love. And by next year in the spring, around this time, she'll be married. So I know that because I get psychically in the stomach. I could feel things, but I also see it. So let me see your hand a minute. Now, if you can hold that up so the camera can see that, or the people here, it's beet red. Red means now. It means right now. Now, everybody's hand isn't red. There's one person here who will be on the show a little later who's red every time she gets involved with anybody. But that's because that's her. This is red because her system's going, I'm ready. Where is it? It's like a horse digging with its hoof. I want this to happen. I'm ready now. This is the time in my life. Let's go. Let's go. Well, when you put out the signals, the person who has the same inners that you have feels that gut cry, and they answer the call home. So if you go, I'm really miserable, I really want somebody in my life, this is terrible, I'm not doing anything, I need somebody just like me. You have it here, they have it here, and they answer it, and they don't knock on your door and say, hi, I'm your soulmate, can I come out and play? But what they say is, maybe you bump into them at a thing like this, or a museum, or shopping for groceries, and they go, I see you're buying 1 apple, 1 orange, 1 of everything, are you alone? And you go, well, yeah. And they go, well, I am too, how about a cup of coffee? If it's the right one, it'll be a 4-hour cup of coffee. And that's what I see for you. Now, I met Mike at Global Sciences, and that's a group that I belong to. I only knew him 5 minutes, and I said, come on over here, let me see your hand. When I looked in his hand, I went, oh my God. And he goes, what's wrong, what's wrong? And I said, well, I see you were married over 20 years. He goes, 23, you want to make something of it? So I said.
I didn't say it that way.
No, he just wanted to have a fight.
I was nicer than that.
But anyway, I said, I see that it ended in divorce. He says, yeah, and you know, I thought everything was all right. And then one day it wasn't. So I said, well, right there, it shows finality. But I said, but guess what? You have the soulmate mark. Yours is coming in too. So I said, I'm not good on ages. How old are you, Mike? And he tells me, and I go, oh my gosh, we're right on the cusp. He's right, it's coming soon. So that'd be fine for him because he's kind of lonely and he likes to meet people and he's real full of it.
No.
And so he's a lot of fun.
I have a sense of humor.
And he has a teeny little sense of humor. And so what this says is this person who's coming in isn't real tall, but he doesn't need somebody 6 feet tall. She's maybe 5'4", 5'5", and that's good. And the person is kind of slight, and I can't get the whole thing, but what I get is this is a love affair of the century. And I have friends from all walks of life, and these two are very unusual. So the reason is, first of all, you could look at them, they're a soulmate couple. Secondly, if one is sick, the other's there, Johnny on the spot. So one day last year, Greg accidentally jumped up in the kitchen and hit his head on the cabinet. That could happen to anybody. The door was left open by someone. I don't know who, but anyway, and he bumped his head, he got a concussion. I thought she was going to have a heart attack over that. She'd been married before. She has 2 beautiful daughters, right? And she went through the teen years, and Greg is the stepfather, and he's there, Johnny on the spot, whatever needs doing, he does it. If they have to go to the hospital, he's the one takes them to the emergency room. If they have to get a ride to school and she can't take them, he's right there, he does whatever you have to do. So it's not been easy. No. And now Patricia's been sick a little bit the last year or two with teeth and one thing and another. Now they both are working.
Yes.
And that kind of helps because it gets you away from yourself and thinking about other things, right?
Well, and we always try to work so that we're not more than 20 foot apart.
So tell about how you met.
Well, I was doing a program for an astrology group. But anyway, he came over and was helping me. Well, my oldest daughter was with me, and she kept saying, "Mother, what is that guy doing over here? Why is he bothering us? Tell him to go away." I said, "Well, he's being nice." "Well, I don't need him. I can set everything up," because she could feel it. She's very psychic,
and
too.
She could feel his presence,
and
yeah.
Later on, Greg told me that he'd been looking for me since...
Since I was about 7, I guess.
Since he was 7 years old, his system has been looking for her system. And when they found each other, he just knew, this is it. That's the one. And he chased her little tushy around till he got it. So I'm happy to see you. And I did Geraldine at my house. She had a reading, and we cried. We both cried. We laughed. We giggled. We had a good time. So let me see your hand.
Thank you.
Okay. So she was married before. You have no children, right? And there is a soulmate here. Now, I met her mother in Tucson when I was visiting my mother there. And her mother said, "Is my Geraldine ever getting married again?" I said, "Oh, yes, dear. You'll be dancing at her wedding, but I'll be there, too." And what this says is, this is pretty sure to come in. It's just that you're real particular. And you're a little bit picky. And we all are, sort of, but some people are more than others. So here's the problem. When you're really beautiful and striking like you are, you attract the wrong type, and that gets you in trouble a little bit. Would you admit that?
Yeah.
You like the bad boys.
Yeah.
And so now,
the better.
Now, the better, she said. However, when you want somebody that's a lasting relationship, that's forever, that gives you what you need and you give them what they need, you might as well have somebody who is like you, not a bad boy, but looks good. So we want good-looking, tall, educated, nice job, dresses nice, nice car. I know everything that you want, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and so where is this
Is he
person?
out there?
He's out there somewhere. All you got to do is want it. Your hands